So we're just gonna name this bar chart or top 10 bar chart. So our final one we're gonna make for today, before we do the dashboard, we're gonna do what they call a tree map. So once again, we're gonna go, or we're gonna do new one this time. It's called the Carnegie classification. So once you drag that in, it's gonna show you more information what that is. If you make that entire view, it's gonna come up the different type of like classifications of college they have. And then we're going to do it by, again, we're going to do by total student enrollment. Take the average of that, make that into a ascending and descending. So here we have another bar chart. But quick thing, the show me function you do is maybe the person you're making this for doesn't like charts, but they like just seeing it in text. The first one on the top left is the text thing. That's called text tables, and that's going to show you in a text form, like more of an Excel looking thing. A lot of people like this a little bit more or less, depending what the person you're doing this for likes. So now, as I said, we're going to make a tree map. So these are all the different options that we can make, all the ones that aren't cleared out. So we're going to press tree map here. I'll click the show me. So what this is doing is it's makes it the darker the symbol, the darker the square is, the more students there are, total average total enrollment. And also, as you can see here, it's making it bigger and darker. So as you can see here by this symbol, it's like the size symbol, and it's average student enrollment as well. So the darker the symbol is and the bigger the square is, that means there's that amount of people. So as you can see, research universities have the most average total student enrollment. Maybe you want to see the actual number again. So you could take student total enrolled, total student enrollment, drag that to labels, and then make that, as you see, it comes up with a sum again. Make that into a average, and then that goes there. Any questions? Some people like this kind of chart, some people don't. Kind of just shows you a different visual of that. Make this into a tree map. All right. So before we go into the dashboard, I'm just going to add a filter in so we can make our dashboard a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is going back to the filter, doing the same thing as I did before with the show filter, making that into a single value drop down. So now, so these are all sheets. Now we're going to want to make a dashboard, which is like where you can combine sheets into one canvas. So it's like, it looks like 4 tiles of a cube here. So we're just going to press, and once you hover, new dashboard comes up. I'm going to press new dashboards. So now on the left here, all your sheets are listed here. And once you hover over it, you're going to see what sheet is in which. So we're going to start dragging sheets in. So we're going to want maybe map to be the biggest one. Map comes up here. Maybe we're going to make the bar chart below there. So as you see, once I drag it, these like gray areas come up. So this just like kind of shows where you can drop it and how big it will be. So for this one, we're going to want to make this like below the map. So we're just going to drop that there. That comes up. And we're going to maybe want tree map. So maybe we're drag tree map. And maybe you're going to want to make that half the bottom as well. Drop that there. And that comes up. So now as you look over here, it's very clustered over here. And this is taking up a lot of space. So as you can see, like when I drag the things over, like the gray sections come up. And this happened because down here, it's selected as tiled. So those are known as tiles or containers where you like kind of like just plop the things. But if you switch to floating, for example, if I switch this to floating now, say if I just drag this top 10 bar chart here, you could literally just plop it wherever you want. So like you wouldn't want it to be here, but just like for explaining purposes, you could literally just drop it and drag it wherever you want. So this floating is going to be good for these here. So now if all these four things over here, you're not going to know, oh, which legend corresponds with each map. So now you know this corresponds with the map legend. So to do that, we're going to want to make this a floating. So we're just going to press this drop down again here. Press the drop down, and as you can see here, it comes up as floating. So once you press floating here, as you can see it, now you can like drag it wherever you want. So now you want to put the corresponding legend with the corresponding map. So we'll do the same thing with type of institution, which will go down here, drop down, floating, drag that to this. You can make it smaller as well, so it fits better. Do the same thing for average total student, make it floating, drag that maybe down here, and then make this one as well with this one, make this state, make that just floating. So watch, as soon as I make this floating, watch this, all this space is going to clear up. So you can see all this space cleared up. Any questions with that? So for right now, as you see, this filter is from the original bar chart that we made, which is here, and you could like make it for each separate one. But maybe you want your dashboard to be an interactive dashboard. Just move this down here. Once you make it bigger, you should kind of have to play with it. So maybe you're going to want to make this into an interactive dashboard where you each time, like a filter could change the entire dashboard. So for now, this is only changing the bar chart down here, but maybe we want to make it change the entire dashboard. So to do that, we're going to press this drop down right here. And the second thing that's here is called apply to worksheets. So all the things, these are 3 separate worksheets on this page, and it's only working on the one worksheet where we made it on. But if we press all using this data source here, press this. Now each time we press a certain state, so now we'll press all, you can see everything changes, but maybe you only want to look at Pennsylvania, for example. You press Pennsylvania and everything changes. Now Pennsylvania's highlighted. These are only corresponding with Pennsylvania. So that's a really, really cool thing, how to make your dashboard interactive. So I'll explain how I do that again. Just press the drop down, go to apply to worksheets, and we're going to press all using this data source. Any questions with that? So as you can see here on the left, size is a thing that people always forget to change. So it's set, as soon as you press size, it's set to a desktop browser and it says fixed size. So it's only going to look the same on, like, if you're looking on it as the same exact size computer you're looking at right now. So some things can get messed up. So it's always good, instead of doing fixed size, you're going to do automatic. So if you do automatic here, it's going to fit the whole screen here. And then sometimes, like, the problem with fixed is now these are going to change, so you're going to have to play around with those and play around with that. But it just takes up a lot more space now. Any questions?
Tim, just mention how they can copy and paste.
Yeah. So when exporting Tableau, there's many different things you could do. It comes up as different ways you can export different ways you can save them. So you could either export as or printed PDF. You could do it, because Scotty was talking about like maybe adding it to Word and then maybe copying and pasting it. So if you like make it into a PDF and then you can just copy and paste it from there. But there's better ways to do that. Not really sure. But so for example, say you want to send this to someone and you want them to make changes to it. If you send it to them just as like a regular export, they're not going to be able to do it because they won't have the proper connection to like the Excel that you've been working on. But if you press export as package workbook here, if you export it as a package workbook, the Excel is going to be embedded into the workbook itself. So once you send it to someone, they'll be able to play around with it because the Excel itself will be embedded within the dashboard itself. Any questions with that? So this may, like, some people might be mind blown by just like these simple charts here. I kind of just want to show you like some of the other great possibilities you have with Tableau. So I was in Professor Garwood's class last semester, and for one of our projects, I made a Tableau dashboard on Kobe Bryant's last game against the Utah Jazz. So as I said before here, you need a date for the timeline. So this is a quick timeline showing his points in playoffs. Okay. Points in the playoffs over there, and his games in the playoffs over here. So as you can see, the amount makes sense. The amount of more games he plays, the more points he scores. Games per season as long with that. He's injured in this year, and a lot of this is the coolest one. So all this looks like a crazy difficult thing to make, but all this literally is a scatter plot in Tableau. So NBA has a really cool like stat website called NBA Savant, where every NBA player has like a tracker somewhere on them when they play. So if you hover over one of these things, so an X mean he missed the shot. As you can see, this game he took a lot of shots. So if, say, for example, if you hover over, so it's like a D3 that he took. So if you hover over that, you can, all the details pop up, and you see at the bottom there's an X and a Y coordinate. So literally all this is the X here, X axis, Y axis here, and this is just literally a scatter plot with a picture embedded behind it. So very simple, looks very difficult. The hardest part of this, the scatter plot's the easiest, but just knowing where to put the picture itself to match up with the court. So this is like a cool sport one that I made.